Superpowers are fun, but sometimes these heroes and villains need a little extra something. And we're talking about weaponry, and not just your typical kind. These are the special kind, with otherworldly abilities, whether it's innovative technology or mystical powers. There's no shortage of dangerous items in the Marvel Universe. These are the most powerful Marvel weapons ranked. Number 10. AntMan Suit. Comparing a suit that makes you really big and conversely really small to all the mystical galactic powers that exist in the MCU may seem silly at first, but not when you consider just how useful this thing actually is. It wouldn't be fair to make a list of the top Marvel weapons without including this marvel of technology. While it may appear like more of an outfit than a traditional weapon, it certainly gets used like one. Originally created by Hank Pym, the suit utilizes Pym particles while protecting the wearer from the negative side effects of such a substance. After decades of tough, rigorous, and dedicated work for the good side, including the loss of his beloved partner and wife to the quantum realm, Hank finally found the ideal wearer. According to Hank, in the right hands, the relationship between the man and the suit is symbiotic. That man was Scott Lang, aka Ant-Man. Since teaming up, Ant-Man has been a staple of the MCU and a major part of the Avengers squad. The suit is made up of a helmet, gloves, gauntlets, lining, and a special belt. It's able to manipulate the wearer's size both to grow large and small. While the suit is designed so the wearer can safely shrink down, it doesn't completely negate the effects of using Pym particles. Shrinking for too long can still greatly damage one's body. Shrinking and growing isn't the only feature though. The suit also gives the wearer superhuman strength, along with superhuman durability. On top of that, it allows the wearer to communicate with insects using electromagnetic waves. You won't find this thing on sale in any department store. Number 9. The Yakka Arrow. The Yakka Arrow is a whistle-controlled arrow made from Yakka metal and uses technology native to the Centaurian people. You've seen this weapon before in the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the weapon of choice of Yondu, the blue guy who shares a weird love-hate relationship with Peter Quill. While it may not look like much, after all, it does kinda look like a child's recorder more than a weapon of mass destruction, it's actually extremely lethal. This thing is able to slice through opponents like a hot knife cutting through butter. It responds to a very specific range of sonic frequencies, which means there's no controls or buttons to push. Instead, this thing is controlled completely by sound. That's kind of the catch. In order for this weapon to be truly powerful, you need to be pretty gosh darn good at whistling. Yondu is a fantastic whistler, but to anyone else, the Yakka Arrow might just be an overhyped metal stick. To the right owner, however, it's capable of taking out entire armies in the blink of an eye. It's extremely precise, very quick, and there's no real defense against it. Number 8. Captain America's Shield. If this list were ranking the most iconic weapons in Marvel history, then this might very well have earned the number 1 spot. However, this isn't a popularity contest. We're talking about the most powerful weapons, and Cap's shield comes in at number 8. The first appearance of the shield in the MCU was gifted to Cap by Howard Stark, who made it out of the only supply of vibranium that the US Army had available. For those unfamiliar with vibranium, it's stronger than steel and a third of the weight. It's also completely vibration absorbent and is the rarest metal on Earth. It's the same material that Black Panther's suit is made out of. Captain America's shield is just as iconic as any weapon we've seen. Heck, it's probably just as iconic as any character. No Captain America ensemble would be complete without the memorable red, white, and blue shield, which he uses equally as a weapon and as a protective item. During Avengers Endgame, Thanos manages to destroy the item during the Battle of Earth in 2023. This came as a massive shock, seeing as how it's made out of such a powerful substance. That just goes to show how powerful the big purple titan truly is. Nevertheless, following the battle, Cap managed to go back to an alternate timeline and procure another version of the shield in order to bring it back to the main timeline and bestow it to Falcon. Wait, does that mean that there's some shieldless Captain America running around in some alternate universe? Man, time travel is very tricky. Number 7. The Book of Cagliostro. And I know what you're thinking. A book? How could a book possibly make it onto a list of the most dangerous weapons in a world of superheroes and supervillains? Well, have you ever heard of the term knowledge is power? That saying is never more true than in reference to this awesome item. The book, which belongs to the Ancient One's private collection, focuses on the dark side of mysticism and has been the undoing of many who have tried to harness it. Think about that for a second. The Ancient One, who's probably the most knowledgeable individual to ever exist in any context ever, has a private collection of books that teach things no one else could possibly ever bear to learn. It's the sorcerer equivalent of going over to someone's house and checking out their private wine cellar and trying a glass from a $100,000 bottle. That is some real good mystic knowledge. We see the book appear in the movie Doctor Strange. Caecilius uses it to perform a ritual that contacts Dormammu and draws energy from the Dark Dimension. Out of all of the places, the Dark Dimension sounds like the last place I would ever want to live. It's no wonder that Dormammu is such an irritable entity. Eventually, Doctor Strange manages to utilize the book as well. He studies it just like it's a med school textbook and eventually becomes a master of the mystic arts. Thanks to the Book of Cagliostro, Stephen Strange is able to harness the Time Stone and evolve into the Sorcerer Supreme. Number 6. Iron Man armor. Without his suit, Tony Stark is essentially just a cocky dude with a bunch of money and a weird pacemaker. With it, however, he becomes one of the most effective superheroes ever known. As the backbone of the Avengers and essentially the entire MCU, Iron Man has been a mainstay of Marvel Studios since the very beginning. No, like seriously, 2008's Iron Man movie was the first release of the MCU, making the character the lead of the pack since the actual very beginning. The interesting thing about this entry is there's actually been several iterations of this weapon. After all, Tony Stark is constantly tinkering with the recipe of this puppy. For those keeping score at home, the latest suit that Tony wears in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame is the Mark LXXXV. In Roman numerals means 85. 85 suits. That's more suits than a Steve Harvey closet. The original edition, along with the subsequent 10, were all destroyed by Tony's clean slate protocol. Tony Stark isn't the only one that dons the iron armor either. James Rhodes, aka War Machine, is not only one of Iron Man's closest allies, but also the only other hero with the ability to handle that level of power. That is, until Pepper Potts shows up in Endgame wearing her own suit of armor. Where does Tony find the time to save the world when he's so busy engineering and manufacturing? The suit offers superhuman strength and durability, the ability to fly, repulsors, missiles, unibeams, advanced laser systems, nanite manipulation, medical suture spray, coolant blasters, and I'm pretty sure there's a USB charger also, but that isn't confirmed. Number 5. The Chitauri Scepter. It all started with the Tesseract, which is a cube that houses the Space Stone, one of the 6 Infinity Stones. In the original Avengers movie, Loki, the no-good brother of Thor, gets his hands on the Tesseract and uses it to open a wormhole, allowing Chitauri aliens to invade New York City. After Thanos gives Loki the Mind Stone, another one of the 6 Infinity Stones, as a thank you present for the invasion going smoothly, Loki adds it to his scepter. The power of an Infinity Stone can't just be wielded around by anyone though. Loki, for all of his downfalls, is a smart man, and he knows he'd crumble under the power of a stone. That's why he uses it as part of the scepter, harnessing its energy while keeping him safe. Eventually, the Avengers save the day, and the Tesseract is safely returned to Asgard while the scepter is confiscated by S.H.I.E.L.D. This powerful weapon didn't last long, but despite its short lifespan, it absolutely earned a place on this list. Number 4. Stormbreaker. This was actually a tough call to make, because Thor has actually possessed 2 incredibly powerful weapons now. The first one, and definitely the more iconic one, is Mjolnir. That's the name of Thor's mighty hammer, the thing that allows him to fly around through space, shoot lightning blasts, and crush entire armies single-handedly. Mjolnir also can only be carried by someone it deems worthy, otherwise it's completely and utterly impossible to even budge it. That's right, the thing is almost sentient in the sense that it becomes symbiotic with its owner. Forged using the heart of a dying star, this thing is right up there with Captain America's shield as one of the most memorable and popular Marvel weapons. Thor definitely seems more comfortable with Mjolnir, like Wayne Gretzky holding a hockey stick, but it's actually his other weapon that makes this list as one of the most powerful. After Thor's awful older sister helped destroy it, Thor was left without a weapon. Not only was she able to catch it and hold the hammer with her bare hands, but she was also able to destroy it with seemingly no effort. Aren't siblings just the worst sometimes? Then came Infinity War, and Thor needed a new go-to weapon in order to take on the almighty Thanos. He enlists the help of Atiri, the king of the dwarves, to manufacture an even better option. Dubbed as the strongest weapon in Asgard's history, and again, forged using the heart of a dying star, Atiri and Thanos create Stormbreaker. The cherry on top is that Stormbreaker's handle is made from Groot's arm. In a selfless move, Groot sacrifices his own arm to help complete the weapon and make Stormbreaker even more dangerous. Now, if only Thor used it to aim for Thanos' head the first time around, we'd all have been saved from a lot of grief. Number 3. Gungnir. If you thought Thor had some powerful weapons, just wait until you see the kind of toys his dad has. We don't see this weapon very often in the MCU, but its powers are astronomical. Essentially, it's a magical spear and belongs to the ruler of Asgard and serves as a symbol of Asgardian power. While Loki and Thor have both wielded this thing in the past, it primarily belonged to their father, Odin. After all, the darn thing is powered by Odin Force. We don't get to see it used as often as we'd like, but we do hear a lot about its past triumphs. At this point, it's more of a status symbol than anything. It's not the most popular weapon, but if we're ranking the most powerful ones and including Stormbreaker, then Gungnir has to be right next to it. Number 2. The Eye of Agamotto. This powerful relic was originally created by Agamotto, the very first Sorcerer Supreme. While the eye itself isn't much to write home about, it's carefully crafted to house the Time Stone inside of it. The eye has been passed down through the long list of Sorcerers Supreme and eventually ends up in the hands of Doctor Strange. In the right hands, it has the ability to manipulate the flow of time. Remember how Doctor Strange managed to outsmart the all-powerful Dormammu and trap the evil entity in a frustrating time loop? Yeah, that's all thanks to this bad boy. It may not be the flashiest of weapons or even the most destructive, but it's undeniably one of the most powerful. Similar to the Chitauri Scepter, which allowed Loki to utilize the Space Stone without physically having to touch it and feel the repercussions, the Eye of Agamotto is the same concept but for the Time Stone. While it's technically up for debate, most would agree that the Time Stone wields a lot more power than the Space Stone. In fact, simply using the weapon can create alternate timelines and break the natural flow of time. That sounds dangerous. But I also wouldn't mind having the ability to rewind a few things here and there. Number 1. The Infinity Gauntlet. That should come as no surprise, but the most powerful Marvel weapon is undoubtedly the Infinity Gauntlet. While some items on this list harness the powers of an Infinity Stone, this thing right here harnesses all of them. Do you know what kind of damage all of the Infinity Stones can do? How about wiping out half of life in the universe with a snap of a finger? That's a lot more dangerous than a whistle-powered arrow. The glove itself was originally forged by dwarves, but it was finally assembled by Thanos in Avengers Infinity War when he managed to acquire all 6 Infinity Stones. Not only does it harness the power of all 6 stones, but it allows the wearer to use their powers in unison. The gauntlet is so powerful that if a lesser being, let's say a human, were to use it, the results could be fatal. When it comes to weapons, there's none greater than the Infinity Gauntlet. And if there were, I'm not sure I want to even know about them. So, how do you feel about our entries and our order? And what would you do with the Infinity Gauntlet and the power to accomplish almost anything at a whim? Sound off in the comments section down below and let us know. Also, make sure to give this video a nice big thumbs up and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our latest releases. Until next time, you've been watching The Binger.